So good morning, folks. My name is Tim Ayler, meteorologist. Hope you're doing well this morning. We got some snow moving through the Great Lakes area this morning, and some snow also moving in parts of the Ohio Valley. Nothing major going on, and so maybe some snow and rain into Montana. It might be some light snow or rain there as well. And rainfall starting to pick up here on the Louisiana coast, with thunderstorms possible today, which is being a big change. But other than that, there's no severe weather expected for the next several days here. That's day 2 and 3. So, good morning. My name is Tim Ayler, meteorologist. Like I said, welcome to my channel. Like my video if you like it, subscribe, and share with your friends. And if you have any concerns, questions, comments, please leave them in the comments below. And donate if you feel compelled. And I appreciate your support. So let's get started here. So as far as current hazards, there's not a lot on the map here, which is good news, right, guys? So we just have some lingering freeze warnings ending today at 9 a.m. Some of the weather advisories for 1 to 3 inches of snow here in parts of Kentucky, West Virginia, with that system starting to move through, right? And weather advisory and freezing spray up here, and some, let's see what this is, dense fog advisories, and on the west coast here, high surf, things like that, and some wind gap events. Looks like going on in Wyoming, but other than that, the map is pretty much empty of, which is a good thing, of hazardous weather. So quite a change from the past several days and past couple of weeks. So let's be thankful for that. So rainfall is expected to return to Georgia here in the next couple of days, today and tomorrow. This is only the metro area timing, but in general, Tuesday evening through Wednesday afternoon, um, rain showers, and rainfall totals will generally range from near quarter to half an inch. Um, Points further south in the highest amounts, and in the northern part of Georgia as well. Generally today in the 60s to lower 50s, mid 50s up north. Of course, where more clouds are, it's going to be not be quite as cold. Maybe some lingering frozen precip on the ground here. I hope not by now, but hopefully it's melted. But rain chances increasing from north, southeast, and northwest here, with partly sunny just south of Atlanta to cloudy and showers to the northwest here. Tonight, rain chances increase for most of the state, generally lows in the upper 30s to mid 40s. And then tomorrow, the highest chances for rain are in middle Georgia to southern Georgia, with lower chances up to the northwest, with temperatures generally in the upper 40s to mid to upper 50s here. And then after that, we're going to cool down slightly for the next couple days. So, as far as temperatures go for central Georgia, um, above normal for a day or two for highs. Let's see today, and then getting below normal temporarily for a few days. A few different cold frontal passages here, especially lows will be near freezing through Sunday. Then a warming trend moves in, and we maintain above normal temps for highs and lows, generally through the middle to towards working in the third week of February. So nice change, generally in the 60s and 70s, with lows in the 30s and 40s through the extended. And these are the model temperatures from the GFS ensemble as well. Generally shows the same thing, some warm-ups and cool-downs, right? And then trend is for warmer temperatures all the way through the 18th of February here. So here are the key messages for the early February extreme cold. Wind chills will be brutal up to the north here, in the northeast and parts of the Midwest, the 7th through the 9th, which are much below normal temperatures expected the 10th through 11th here as well in these areas. And we talked about this, right? So cold will be lingering to next week, but will likely moderate um, towards typical winter temperatures late next week across the northwest and mid-Atlantic. Widespread sub-zero wind chills are expected up here. -20, -30 range, and even higher lower, -40, maybe into the mountainous terrain of northern New England. So let's be mindful of that coming up this weekend here. As far as day 3 to 7 U.S. hazards, hanging on to hazardous cold the 7th and the 7th through the 9th here in the Northeast and the Atlantic, with high winds potential up here in Alaska. So what's the short term look like? Well, we got some interesting stuff going on here. We have this system moving through the south with precip here in Mississippi Valley, Lower Mississippi Valley, along the Gulf Coast, some rain and some snow maybe, and some banding maybe setting up in here in the Ohio Valley, right? And that moves to the east here. And then as we get further out in time, this is Wednesday, this is Tuesday, right? Some moderate bands of snow here on the northern side of this may bring a little bit of surprise for folks if they're not prepared for this. And then you have looks like some freezing rain and maybe some snow up here in the Tennessee Valley, right, in the highest terrain. And then you get some enhancement here as we get towards the end of this model run, with maybe some back end snow into parts of Tennessee, the North Carolina, and Virginia and Maryland, and maybe some icing here as well, which is interesting. You can see on the back end of this, you can make out maybe some snow here right on the back end. You see how this back end here into Georgia maybe wants to bring a band of snow here. It's hard to say whether this is going to play out or not, but be interesting to see here. So what's driving this? We have a southerly flow here at 500 millibars, right? And that is bringing the precip up to the north here, right? You have your 500 millibar vortex up there. Not a lot of coherent forcing here. You see what happens as we get towards Wednesday. Some more enhancement here, right? And if we switch back to the radar simulated analyzed, it's interesting that there's not a lot of precip where that enhancement is, right? And the NAM, the radar depiction of this is quite blotchy here. So yeah, not maybe it's because the resolution of this model, guys. I don't know, but it's interesting to see this because we switched back to 500 millibars real quickly. I know this is getting in the weeds again. Let's go through time with this a little bit more. See how the trough is just doesn't really get negatively tilted. You got a positive tilt in it the whole time. Right? So not a lot of forcing, and we have a positive tilt. There's not some low pressure doesn't really develop like the past system. It's in generally the same area, but this is more of a positive tilt, right? So this energy is this way instead of like generally like this, right? Where you get low develop offshore here. So that's the difference, right? So anyway, move through time with this and go back to the radar. Yeah, so it kind of moves out, but kind of interesting how this is showing up here. We'll keep an eye on this, but let's look real quickly at the snowfall amounts here. So snow total. Let's go through snow total here. So this is starting out 3 February. Go through time. You have maybe a couple inches of snow along the spine of the Appalachians there, and then right at the end of this run, which is Thursday, maybe you have some hints of back end snowfall here into Georgia, the mountainous terrain, maybe far northern Georgia, and right along the coastline here. So not a lot of heavy, maybe more of a nuisance here, right? So let's look at sleet total, maybe some sleet right on the borderline edge of this here, and freezing rain total. So I'd have to look at the natural wind models. I think the NAM is normally overdone with this, but you can see where the highest chance of freezing rain might be in parts of North Carolina here. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. So this is HRRR. This is back a few hours. I'm going to go out 60 hours with this just to give you a general sense what the short range model guidance is depicting here. Some general showers and maybe some thunderstorms here along the Gulf Coast, moving to the east. So some nice rain, no snow. Whatever snow's on the ground likely melted already has. Let's really get some banding going up here in parts of looks like West Virginia and Maryland, right? Not too bullish on the frozen, like freezing rain here, right? And we go through time, maybe some freezing rain right along the Virginia coastline here. And it wants to develop this back end a little bit, but not as bullish as the NAM is. So we'll just have to see how this plays out. But then right on the back end of this, you see how we get some precip. This is Thursday afternoon, so we'll see. And you got some lick effect banding moving in as well. So as far as temperatures, let's look real quickly at the temperatures. Surface temp. All right, so going back, HRR, 20s, 30s, teens up north, single digits, cold, cold, cold up north. Warming up in the 60s, 50s, cold air pushes to the south here. You can see it pushing the south, right, as that system moves through. Warm air right on the front side of it, but cold air pushing behind it. And then cold air pushes offshore. So right in the shadow of the Appalachians, of course, the cold air hasn't pushed in yet. You see up north in the northwest and mid-Atlantic, and then as well as the Midwest and northern high plains remains cold through the period here. So what does that mean as far as sensible temperatures go with the stratosphere and troposphere and all the interactions, right? Well, to start off, what we do know is this is the 10-meter anomaly, which is surface temperatures, right, in Fahrenheit. You see, this is northern hemisphere, okay? So you can see all the other continents, right? So this is European ensemble model temperatures. See, the eastern seaboard is remaining cold here, and this is well forecast up to this point. Going to be extremely cold, with maybe some more intrusions of colder air into parts of Canada. You see the warm air out west all the way into Alaska, okay, ridging out there, which has been persistent. And then we get to 7th February, another cold blast comes through to the east coast to see how warm it is in the central U.S. and parts of Alaska. And then northern Alaska is cooling off here. And along the west coast, you see the blues here, they're cooling off too, below normal. You see how the colder temperatures move to the east here, the anomalies. Alaska remains warm in general, above normal. And then out west, you see the blues here, slightly below normal. And see the east remains, parts of the eastern U.S. remain at or just slightly above normal during the period. Northern Canada here, towards the Arctic Circle, part of eastern Canada, but Alaska is getting cold now, right? Ridging is persistent in the central U.S. with maybe still maybe slightly above normal temperatures, right, in the mid-Atlantic. You see colder than normal temperatures persist here out west. So I'm going to go through the GFS ensemble as well, another global model that we all love, right? So here's the GFS ensemble, the most recent run 00Z showing 2-meter temperature anomalies, right? Eastern seaboard, we know it's colder than normal to start with. And we have one push of cold air pushing through the east first part of this week. And then another push of cold air. You see it pushing down here all the way into the south, below normal temps. All right. Very cold air persisting along the eastern seaboard for quite a while here through the 9th, 10th, at least according to GFS. This is a little bit longer than the European, maintaining this cold air in the east. You see there's a warmer than normal temps in the central U.S. all the way up into most of Canada here, with colder than normal temps trending out west here. Sorry, my sinuses are really messed up today. You see what the trend brings, especially the middle part of the month. Large temperature anomalies here in the central U.S., maybe near record temps here, according to this model. Maybe somewhat overdone. But the east, right along the eastern seaboard, maintaining either roughly average or slightly above average temps, right? But overall, not nearly as cold as it has been. So, with persistent colder than normal temps up into in the western U.S. and parts of Canada as well. So, a little bit different than the European, but overall, they both agree on the pattern change here. Right out west, trough, eastern central U.S. Ridging, right? But not, not as much resolution this far out, so it's hard to say. But we go back through time again. Ridge out west, slowly shifts to the east, and temps warm up. So let's keep an eye on this, but looks like this is the trend for right now. So I thought I'd post this graphic. I don't know if this is helpful or not. I'm going to move my face up to the top left here. This shows the atmospheric pressure on the right and the altitude and the different levels of the atmosphere and the different vehicles that fly within it, let's just say artificial things, and the different natural, let's just say, things that occur in the different levels here. You can see the stratosphere is generally between 180 and like 1.7 millibar in pressure. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about the stratosphere and the troposphere, between those two, right? So you can see how deep the troposphere is compared to most layers of the atmosphere. And it consists of about 60% of the atmosphere, and that's the atmosphere that we live in generally. Here's the top of Mount Everest up here. It reaches pretty high in the top of the troposphere here. And I'm showing you this because of the stratospheric warming, right? And all the talk about that and the different levels of the atmosphere you look at in the stratosphere to compare if it's warming or cooling, right? And so as compared to the rest of the atmosphere. It's a very complex interaction, and I'm sure there's not just one single thing that changes the rest of the atmospheric state. They all interact together. So models are only as good as they are, right? The data that they're fed into them and the formulas that they use, right? So if somebody can tell you that they know exactly what's going to happen with this stratospheric warming, they're wrong. But we do the best we can to interpret the data and pass it on as as we get it, So a little bit of a different thing talking about today. So yeah, I'm gonna also go through some plots, the stratosphere here, like a vertical representation of it, and what's changed over the past couple of days with the stratospheric modeling, and why the temperatures will probably be warming up some east of the Rockies here in the coming days, for the foreseeable future at least, till the middle towards the end of February. So quite a big change in the from the current pattern where it's just been cold along the east and warm out west. So kind of flip around here. So we'll talk about that as well. So here's a little different graphic of the it shows basically the same thing here. The tropopause, troposphere up to you got the tropopause, which is in between the troposphere and the stratosphere, right? And then the stratosphere encompasses between like 1 and maybe 130 or 40 millibars, right? Um, right, so 1,000 generally at the surface. You see Mount Everest here. So this gives a pretty good idea where the stratosphere ends and begins and the troposphere does. So, and then you see how temperatures look like they rise, right? And as you go further up, but the air is so thin that yeah, potential temperature's higher, but the air is so thin that it's very cold. It feels cold. So don't let this fool you about the temperature at this altitude. So anyway, um, my washer's going off there making noise. Sorry about that. But yeah, this is a pretty good graphic as well. And I hope you get something out of this. So I wanted to show you a couple things on the stratosphere. I know this is getting into the weeds here with it, but if you're so inclined, um, let's dive in here. So I showed you the chart with the millibars, right? 1 millibar is way up there. 150 is close to the troposphere, right? So, so you move this through maybe like the 7th, let's just say. So this is 7th February at 150 millibars, right? And you move up to up to 1 millibar. You can see it looks like um, the stratosphere at the low is split here, right? If you go down to 150 millibars, you see how it impacts the top of the troposphere, right? Um, right, but so the minimum maximum temperatures here are northward of 30 north, so not huge impacts here, right? Let's go further up here, but you see how the higher levels of the atmosphere are colder, right? The vortex is really split here. Let's move through time. And you see how it, towards the end of it, how it moves over, uh, it's split between, let's say, like, the different hemispheres, but not over North America, right? Go down here to the lower levels in the troposphere. Um, you have generally warmer temperatures, right? Here, where the United States is and Canada, right? And then colder temperatures look like over Asia, if I got this right. Looks like it, Asia and Europe. So let's look at the vertical profile here real quick. So here's the United States. Here's the polar vortex at 0 degrees, right? And the different levels, potential temperature. I know it looks weird, the values go down as you go down, but it's just the way it is with potential temperature, okay, in Kelvin. And I guess it makes sense, right? But it's kind of stretched out here, okay? So we're gonna move this through time, consolidate some. Remember how we talked a few days ago about it splitting? It still does that, right? But interesting how it has this one up here. But you see how part of the polar vortex rotates over the Asian continent, and then it works to consolidate again uh, over time here, with not much left over the continental U.S. So maybe part of this explains why we aren't getting as much intrusion of cold air, at least in the eastern U.S. But you can see along the western U.S., it's really hard to make this out. So let's go 90 degrees. So we have the northern hemisphere facing us. Okay, going through time with this. It's 7 February. You see how it's split maybe over the northeastern part of Canada here. All right. Excuse me. Swings around. You see the upper levels of the atmosphere, the stratosphere up here. It looks like the above the western part of the U.S. It's really hard to tell here. Let's look at this real quick. Yeah, let me do 180 degrees as well. Yeah, it's really hard to tell from this. Let me do 270. Hard to really make this out. But either way, you see how it's kind of stretched, right? And then whatever's left of the circulation above um, looks like it's over the western part of the continent of the U.S. So long-winded discussion here, but hopefully this gives you a good understanding, a little bit more about the polar vortex and what it's doing and why the forecast is changing. And there's other things that come into play with this as well. So I could spend all day talking about this, but I hope you all got something out of this. And I'm going to include this in today's video, as well as put a special segment out on YouTube as part of this as well. As far as risk of heavy precip, we're returning with some moisture here in the southern part of the U.S., southwest, the 10th through the 12th. Low risk there, slight risk. Risk of heavy snow is returning to the west here as well, the 10th and 11th, and the 10th through the 13th. Upper Midwest, northern high plains, and Intermountain West, and parts of the Sierra Nevada range, right? Okay, so quite a big change as well. Then we got the high winds here. Slight risk of 10th through the 16th, generally along the front range of the Rockies here, the 10th through 11th in the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. And hazardous temperatures are expected here. Moderate risk on the 10th. This is February's 10th to the 16th, though. This is 8 to 14 day hazards outlook, right? I didn't say that originally. And the 10th through 11th here in the around the dotted blue line, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast, and slight risk here into the Midwest as well. 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Still hanging on to colder than normal temperatures in the east, which we just talked about with the hazards, right? Below to near normal in parts of Alaska, to above in the southern Alaska, central to southern, above in Hawaii, and above in the Aleutian Island chain. 6 to 10 day precip outlook. Most of the country, generally to the west of Mississippi, above normal precip chances. East Mississippi near normal or below. With near normal to above in Alaska, above in Hawaii, and above in Aleutian Island chain. And so we go a little bit further out, the 10th to the 16th. Here's your 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, issued yesterday, updated every day. Near normal along the eastern seaboard here and into New England and far southern Florida. Colder than normal temperatures building into the west coast here, with above normal temperatures in the central U.S. So the ridging building in here. Near normal to above in southern Alaska and northern Alaska to central Alaska, trending below normal for temps. Above to near normal to above in Hawaii and Aleutian Island chain. And we look at precip. Most of the nation is looking to trend for above normal precip during the period as well, which is a big change from past couple weeks. Been pretty dry. Near normal along the eastern seaboard into parts of Florida. Near normal in northern Alaska. And most of Alaska is trending above normal here, right? And above in Hawaii and above in the Aleutian Island chain. So in closing, we're going to have some pushes of cold air through the week, but then we're going to be in for a pretty distinct warm up, as you can see from this depiction of the GFS model, right? But overall, a big change from the current pattern. So an unwelcome change for a lot of portions of people, especially in the Northeast, if it pans out. So, this kind of weather is not unexpected, and these changes are unexpected either. They happen, right? So hope you all have a great day, and God bless.